This is 17-1, and today we are watching For the World is Hollow and I Have Touched the Sky. I'm Ben Belding, and I have seen this episode 17 times.
I'm Derek, and I've seen this episode 1 time.
You ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1, engage. Right, so, this is obviously remastered. I think it looks better than the original. So this is the most expensive episode of the 3rd season.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
I guess, is it... Well, I mean, it can't be for the remastered shots, so... I guess because they had a whole different set for the ship. Is that right?
Yeah, for Yonata and the people. They had to hire people for that. Now look at this. Kirk comes in. Comes around. All right, now he and Spock are going to talk a little bit. Just put this in your memory brain.
Okay. Alright. I'm absorbing it from my memory brain.
Okay, don't forget that.
Got it.
So anyway, it'll be important later.
Fair enough. In this episode or like later
in
down
this episode.
Okay,
in this
good.
episode.
I would say I don't have that good of a memory.
From my point of view, no one does.
That's true.
No one should. So we do get to see her doing a little bit more here.
Yeah, and Zulu's all like pushing buttons and stuff.
Yeah, like the 3rd season gets a really bad rap, but these guys get to do more stuff.
Yeah.
In season 3 than I think they get to do in the previous 2 seasons combined. Like we haven't gotten to the good stuff yet.
Yeah. I mean, what's interesting to me is, I want to talk over this. I love this.
It's good. Nurse Chapel's having a lot of characters.
She's like giving him some lip. He's like, "No, I've called the captain, and I'm going to wait here. You can't tell me what to do."
Yeah. Again, we talk about how she teaches him medicine and he teaches her spycraft.
Right. Exactly.
Because of our theory about his history. And that's definitely borne out that they have more of a peer relationship.
Right. And he does, he tries to pull the rank thing. He's like, "Nurse, get out of here." And she's like, "No." And he's like, "Come on, please, I'll tell him." And then she leaves.
It's good. It's a great relationship.
Yeah. It characterizes the relationship more, and that's nice because usually it's just so one-dimensional. It's just, employee... I don't know what you really call that. Just ranking officer and person of lower rank, I guess.
Subordinate and insubordinate.
Yes, there you go. That's way better.
Wait. That's not right. That's only whenever Kirk's involved.
I don't know. This is interesting. I like how there's a little subtext here, right? He's trying to be as detached and clinical as possible, but he's talking about his own mortality. I mean, it's easy to lose that kind of subtext because we're kind of we just jump into the intro, right? But that's like a heavy thing. The audience is kind of personified in Kirk's reactions to that. But if you think about the crew as a whole, losing a medical officer, he's more of a social fixture in the ship's day-to-day than Kirk or Spock, I would imagine. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. No, I imagine. Whoever sees Captain Kirk for things.
Right, exactly. But it's "Hey, I have a headache, McCoy." "Oh, take this." "Hey, my ankle hurts." "Oh, let me look at it." That's his day-to-day. Yeah.
I mean, and even if you do interact with Spock,
no one's...
Yeah, odds are pretty good.
I'm sure since everyone in the Star Trek Enterprise is Christian, they can't get behind his devil ears. Also, happy Zombie Jesus Day.
Yeah, we are recording this on Easter Sunday. So, obviously remastered. Okay, now look at this. Kirk comes around. Spock
Whoa, is that the same shot?
It's the same shot. They cut out the audio and they dubbed over the captain's log.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
No one does. I only noticed that because I read up on it.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's good. So it's it had that weird there's this since we've been doing this, I've noticed that there's kind of this quality of video, and then there are certain scenes where the quality of video takes a dive and then it comes back up again for whatever reason. And so you can definitely tell that the second time the quality of video is lower for whatever reason.
Which is really, really weird.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, maybe that's a remastered thing, but in my mind I'm thinking, well, if you can get the same quality on the first shot, why wouldn't you get it on the second, since it's supposed to be the same?
Yeah.
And I cannot come up with a good answer.
Yeah, I periodically look into this. I have not really got an answer yet.
Right.
So, But yeah, no, and the thing is that this thing, the third season budgets were cut. They had a tight 6-day shooting schedule, and they actually sort of like pushed off inviting experienced Star Trek directors back because they ran over time.
Oh, okay.
Like, it's supposed to be 6 days. You've done a lot of good episodes for us, but you went over 6 days, so I'm not going to have you back to direct. So this guy never directed Star Trek before. He did this in 7.5 days.
Is that somewhat of a Herculean feat? It sounds like it is.
Oh, it's real bad. It's way too long.
Okay.
So it should be 6 days.
Oh, okay. So yeah, but like everything, like in software, in pretty much anything with a timetable, it seems like you're always kind of over budget and behind schedule. So like to me, 7.5 days is
6.
reasonable out of 6. Like it's reasonable because no one who has been in the industry long enough should expect any better, really.
Yeah, it's 25% overage, I guess. Yeah. So anyway, but that is the deal. Is that NBC was pressured to keep Star Trek on. They ordered like 16 or 19 episodes.
Yeah,
and then provisionally, and the deal is that they they try to tighten everything up,
right? Well, like
and there's just not enough resources.
I was explaining to a coworker, they were doing like some pitch to a client that I can't really talk about, but they were. He's like, like these guys just have like a sense of, like kind of like an old sense of like running things. I said, well, let me tell you this: when you're talking to people who have that mindset, you have to understand that they are going to just make demands and they want to put you under the pressure because they want you to. They don't think that you have enough kind of skin in the game otherwise to actually do what they want. So they're asking for the moon, but are fine with getting out of orbit, kind of thing. To keep the space metaphor, and and it's funny because. I know that from software, but the more I hear about this, it's like, man, maybe it's everywhere. Maybe it's just like everyone who is in charge of budgets are more or less dicks and have no real idea about the day-to-day of boots on the ground and how doing things right takes time.
It's it's the crushing weight of capitalism.
Yeah.
So it's and that's the deal, is that they don't want Star Trek, so they can shortchange Star Trek and then just be like, Star Trek's always over budget, and it's not good enough.
Right.
So you just cut the resources until it justifies your disdain.
Yeah.
Those pillars in the back are actually small. It's all just a forced perspective trick to add.
Oh, is it?
The set? Yeah, this is the same shallow set they have for everything else. So.
Okay, interesting.
But it looks like those are really far behind them.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because you've established scale with the first two, and then it goes back.
Right.
So, the asteroid ship's 10,000 years old. The interesting thing about the Yanada stuff is that
the horrible tie-dye Japanese motif.
They're plaid kimonos, which would be a great name for a band.
Yes, the plaid kimonos. That would be good. What I find is really weird is that, like, the condom hats they have on. Yeah. I don't know if like those little jewels are supposed to glow. Like, if they're lights. I don't get this scene at all, by the way. It's so goofy. Like, A, like, why is she even in the midst of a fight? And then B, like, what was that? Like, I know that they have to, like, pause for a beat or two because it becomes narratively significant later, but it just doesn't even work. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, it's weird blocking. It's just really awkward.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, it roughly conveys the message that in the middle of all of this, Dr. McCoy is the character who's trying to use diplomacy.
Oh, I get it.
Like, I'm going to role play out of this.
Yeah, no, I totally get the hats now. The hats are the same configuration that you see on the temple or whatever. Okay, I just got that.
Yeah. Wow, that is some crazy fabric,
isn't it? Like, it's weird how like it's not like just flat at around the knees, around the hem. It's like it curves up some kind of way, like it's bunched in a weird way.
Yeah, which is not, it's exotic, whatever. But the fact of the matter is that the colors on the actual fabric chains. Like, that's not different fabric.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like they just found this exotically dyed fabric. And,
yeah, it's kind of like we went to like some kind of hippie Japan, and then when we come in there, we're almost like in a weird Hawaii. Because like, if you look at the women, it's more like I think more of Honolulu than I think of Kyoto.
Yeah. It's more colorful than you would expect of a generation ship.
Yeah, for sure. And I'd like to talk about the fact that we have a plot that is involving a generation ship. It's kind of what I would consider a quintessential sci-fi plot, and a plot is good. Like the archetypical plot is one that I enjoy and can be interesting. I don't know if this is particularly done well. It's not bad, but it's not good either. It's just meh.
Yeah. It's really weird how meh this episode is.
Yeah. Like, I'm like, okay. Like, yeah. Okay. Like, that was just going through my mind the whole time. Like, I mean, I get it, but I feel like maybe it was too ambitious for one episode. Like, if maybe they did... Maybe if they did this in, like, some kind of mini arc, like a 3-episode mini arc... Then they, because what it seems like is there's a lot of characterization of the society, right? Because it's generation ship, so you have to it becomes a little bit of a character on its own, but you don't have the time to characterize it. You know what I mean? Like and so maybe if you had 2 or 3, this could have been super interesting, but because you don't, it's like I kind of know this because I'm familiar with plot structures and all that kind of jazz, but. Like, and as an episode on its own merits, it's just, it's hard. You haven't sold me.
There's no brain. What is brain moment?
Yes, no, this is true.
And there's really no moment where you sit down and go, oh yeah, Kirk's saying the thing that gets
like
that's not that either.
I mean, there's some inconsistencies with like when McCoy's like, hey, I'm staying here because this Betty, me and her are gonna have babies in this new society, and I guess I looked at it through McCoy as an espionage agent. so in my mind it's like I can't explain, like in his mind he can't explain his plan to Kirk because he might try to get in the way or just whatever. So he's like kind of off the reservation going solo.
Excuse me. Yeah, I definitely like that angle of it. Here we have, I think, a 3rd set for Yonata. Yeah. All of them. Like look at
nice. That little that centerpiece on the wall. We have not seen that anywhere, if I'm correct, and that's really nice. It's a nice thing. It's
not familiar to me. Yeah. So,
and that's So of course, you have. The secret, like we're what, maybe 10 minutes in,
and everyone knows.
Yeah, and everyone knows.
There's no drama to it.
And I would have liked it. McCoy's like, damn, the Enterprise can't keep any kind of secrets. Like, it would give you that subtle, like, I'm used to more professionalism in keeping secrets, and the Enterprise is not that.
Yeah, it gives us a nice moment between Spock and McCoy, and we get a lot of those in the 3rd season.
Well, and that's the other thing too. It's like I don't know. I mean, I'm with Spock putting his hand on McCoy's shoulder. I have questions when that happens, right? Because because he's not supposed to give a shit about emotions. It's not supposed to be a thing. But then it could be like, hey, listen, I've read about emotions. I know you're an emotional being. I know this is supposed to give you some kind of comfort. I don't need comfort. I'm not that weak. But here I am doing it for you because I know it's important. Look, see, there he goes. And so, but like, I don't know why he's doing it. Like, we don't really kind of get that. And, there have been a lot of times where it's, hey, I'm a creature that is emotionless, but then there are other parts that contradict that.
Yeah.
This is just another one of those.
I want to say the word is palliative.
Palliative.
I'm not familiar. Healing or caring.
Oh, okay.
So it's just a generally... But yeah, it's a very simple gesture, but it is such an exigent situation that it fits for me.
It totally fits. I guess I want more of I get that all these pieces on the board, and I get how they're supposed to fit, but there are some things that if you make certain assumptions, these shallow assumptions, then the boards, then you wonder how the rules of interplay work. And I know, sometimes you're like, I don't need that, it's just a good story, and I'm like, no, I'd like to know more, and I think it's just a preference thing. Is he giving them drugs? I don't know what's up.
It could.
Would
be.
you like some sugar candy?
It tastes like an ancient herb derivative. Okay, wait.
On the side of his bag, it says pixie sticks.
And it's like, that's a lot of details from just one pile of whatever. You know your poisons, McCoy. I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, you know your poisons. But you've killed enough people to know.
This is this guy's third time being on Star Trek.
Oh, really?
He was in the Menagerie.
Is he just generic old guy?
Yeah.
Oh.
He played one of the old scientists in the Menagerie that crashed on the planet. Yeah. And then he was in the episode Landru, where he was one of the old people who was part of the underground that weren't affected by Landru's mind control power.
Interesting.
So
so this guy's a subversive. He's typecast as just the subversive old dude.
I know, right? It's pretty cool. Like, the world is hollow and I've touched the sky. I just want to say that I really like that name.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't really make, like, the splash screen for this episode. It doesn't really, like, it's too long. But as far as
that's a presentation issue, in my opinion.
Yeah, probably. I would. That's a good distinction to make. But yeah, I like it as well. It's not. So this remastered shot, that whole like, oh, it's a red dot. Do you see? It's under the skin.
I don't know how remastered that was.
Really? Like, it looks. I mean, I guess they could have done that as long as
they may have touched it up, but like that's what it was.
Anyway, that's to me. Like, I don't think you need to tell me like it's a shining red light under the skin. Like you said, it's under the skin is good enough.
Meh. So, yeah, and after, I was around during the heyday of Star Trek, where single word names became like a thing.
Like, how do you mean?
You'd have one that's like, Parallax and Discourse and Intrepid, and like that's the name of like 3 episodes.
Okay.
It's like SAT questions.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
The synonym for the title of Season 3, Episode 1. Choose the title of Season 3, Episode 2, Season 3, Episode 3, Season 3, Episode 4. It's multiple choice. It's just like so many one-word names. I prefer the long ones.
Yeah, it's it gives the indication of the high-mindedness of sci-fi. Because good sci-fi should be making you ask questions.
Yeah, it's an intriguing title, and I think that one-word titles can do that.
Yeah.
But I don't think you need a title that short to do that. I think you can give it a few words.
Right.
I almost want to say it's maybe considered pretentious to have a title that long for some reason.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I can't speak one way or the other, but I could see how that would be the case. So here they're talking about McCoy's sexual prowess. And it's kind of uncomfortable. Like, it's like, oh, she's into you and you don't mind. Yeah, it is. I'm like,
Kirk pulls out a whiteboard with a marker. He's like, we're going to teach you about something called the honeypot. What you do
is like,
you distract the lady who's interested in you while we do stuff.
And like, he just chuckles politely.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I'm getting this, Jim. I'm getting it all down. Could you repeat that part? I'm a little unsure. All right.
I kind of almost. I don't. My memory isn't that good, but I would love it if in the previous episode he got Kirk to do the honeypot without knowing it. Like, he's just kind of one level above them all. It's like, oh no, I know the honeypot. I can actually get you to do the honeypot without you knowing about it.
Yeah, that's like taking a thirsty horse to water. You don't really have to push.
Ooh, I don't want to be that crude. But yeah, thirsty horse to water works.
Yeah, that's perhaps too close a metaphor. But anyway, I guess it's a simile. But
yeah. No, we're good.
Yeah.
Her eye makeup's
nerds
weird.
Listen to this show hypothetically, Derek.
Yeah.
Got to make sure this stuff is straight.
Yeah, for sure.
So we haven't mentioned it yet, but we ought to. This is two people falling deeply in love inside of one episode.
Yeah.
Which
is that a trope?
Which is a trope.
Yeah, okay, it should.
Yeah, it's a trope, and we hate it, and it happens in Star Trek. But at least it's McCoy this time.
Yeah, McCoy gets a shot. I kind of wonder... Because even... Like, I think all three of them now have, like, either dead wives or wives that they can't... like, mates or wives or just whatever it is. Like, I think Kirk has at least two, if memory serves. Probably has more. I think Spock has one. And then now McCoy gets one. And it's just such a weird thing. It's like, yes, such a meaningful thing, but we have to do stuff, so maybe not that meaningful.
Well, McCoy is divorced.
Like in Star Trek canon?
Canon is a funny word for it. It's
okay,
one of the more
go on.
Arbitrarily credible parts of the extended canon.
Okay.
He does have a daughter, which I'll mention in a later episode.
Okay.
But that implies that he did have sex with a woman, probably in wedlock, and that she's not in the picture anymore.
Yeah.
So the options are either that his wife dead, or he is divorced from his wife. And you take one look at McCoy and you go, yeah, they're probably divorced.
Oh no, maybe it was like his Natasha, like his covert spy partner that was female.
Could be.
I don't know.
But we do. People give George Lucas shit for his awful romantic dialogue, but this is just the worst.
Yeah. I mean, George Lucas is bad. Like, I don't care if you have any Star Wars fans watching. George Lucas is a horrible storyteller, and I can support my point. Anyway,
the entire internet will support your point. Just give him a chance. But yeah, so this is awful. But like, we still kind of root for him. Like, we're just happy to have a McCoy episode.
Yeah. I like the McCoy episode, and I don't know if I should. Like, I don't know if I would like the McCoy episodes as much as I do if we didn't have this kind of like covert operative narrative, like subtext kind of going on. Because this whole time I'm like, yeah, work that ass at McCoy.
that is like a crazy theory where this isn't one episode fall in love trope. It is McCoy just playing the honeypot better than anyone else. Yeah, because like
let's talk brass tacks here. This is it. She is the leader of this entire society, and he flips that asset. Like, he totally gets her on his side to avert this ship crashing into a planet. I mean, if we're gonna talk about it, I mean that's a spy never knows that you did it right. Yeah, sure. like Kirk's the one that made it work out, but McCoy's the one that made it happen.
Kirk,
just saying.
Kirk didn't. This entire ploy fails for the most part.
What do you mean?
They learn a little bit, but this ends in failure, and Kirk has to fly away, and the Starfleet's like, Kirk, someone else will take care of the asteroid thing.
Yeah.
And McCoy's like, oh yeah, no, I infiltrated and found the ship.
Yeah, but I guess I imagine as far as Starfleet is concerned, either the Enterprise gets credit or Kirk gets credit. But really, it's McCoy's the one that took his own initiative and subverted this catastrophe.
You know, a good spy wouldn't have it any other way.
Exactly. That's why I love it. Like, in that context, this episode is awesome.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know that that's not how it was intended. So, and it's kind of one of those things too, where, like, if the mind is sufficiently bored, it creates narratives to entertain itself.
I don't think that's fair. Like, we just McCoy is considered one of the trio, one of the three guys in Star Trek. But yet he's not a very good doctor because the narrative is still so focused on Kirk and Spock.
Right.
He's not good in a fight. He messes things up.
Right.
Private Little War, like, he knocks over the stuff that gives away their location to the Klingons.
He's usually the guy that we have to explain things to, that is kind of like the proxy for the audience.
Yes, he's very much the Troy of Star Trek the original series. And all due respect to Counselor Troy, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Like, that the trope was named after her briefly.
Oh, wow. Was it? Okay.
Yeah. So, because she just, as a as a psychologist, which the writers of Star Trek didn't really understand, get ready to hear this again in like 6 months to a year.
Yeah, fair enough.
They're like, what is she really good for? What are her core competencies? Nothing we understand. She talks about feelings sometimes. And then someone has to be there for the core audience, and Wesley's like a super genius kid, so Troy is like your go-to example of someone who has to be explained to things like they're complete
if you say what was it? I've been kind of watching Scrubs off and on, and like Dr. Cox, I think he says something about a psychologist like a useless specialization or something like that. Or not a real doctor or whatever it is.
I know he did it for dermatology.
Yeah. His most is like, you see, you've made me page the dermatology for a dermatological consult to validate his most useless of specializations.
Yeah. So it's I mean, they all got skin.
Yeah,
but
He's like,
it's hilarious. It's hilarious because it's Dr. Cox.
Right, of course. I mean, he the delivery is just so excellent.
Not even close, Spock.
Yeah. She put her hand in front of the symbols. Yes.
Yeah, over it.
That was someone like you should have been paying attention.
Anyway, so these little tablets are based on, I think, Mayan. Yeah. Mayan language.
My big question is, like, they've already gotten laid down, like, for at least a few hours, I guess, by this weapon, right? Yeah. So why isn't it happening right now? Like, I don't, like, like, this machine has forgotten power syndrome, like, pretty often in this episode. Unless, like, I just don't get it. I don't get why they're even able to kind of walk around without the machine, like, oh, intruders, bam.
It's activated by the mat. It's in power save mode.
Is it sleeping?
It's got to reboot.
It's running diagnostics, man.
It's a broken computer.
Yeah.
So, so that's how I always took it. I never questioned it too much.
Okay. So you just kind of took it as like it's the broken computer. So when it's on, it's ready to like just deal out some justice, but it isn't always on because it's old.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I assume it just isn't always on because it doesn't really need to be on. It's doing like automation control things.
Oh, okay.
So it doesn't need to talk to people or check its chamber for thieves or anything because there are a lot of assumptions made in the creation of this machine. Which were obviously bad. The Ferbini were an interesting culture.
Yeah, I mean, it was, so now, I don't know. Anyway, I mean, you can get where I'm going with this, but it just doesn't land with me because I don't understand, but I'm like, okay, I can kind of accept it, but it just, it subverts this notion that this is like an all-knowing kind of like leader of the ship deal.
But it's just a computer. And
well, yeah, but he's like good.
And they've obviously either it or they have pushed it in the center of their lives,
right?
Which has sort of made it go drunk with power, or maybe not.
Yeah, I mean,
or maybe like it was designed to be drunk with power.
Yeah, I think that was my interpretation, that it was designed to be a space pope of this generation ship to keep everybody on task over the 10,000 years journey. Because the best way to kind of get people to do a thing without asking questions is to make it a religion. Yeah.
And you can be like, oh, look, in generations, like, if we just let people lead people, then, maybe they'll drift, or maybe they'll want to change their mission, or something else.
Right.
But if we use a robot, the robot will be consistent and keep everyone on track, and make everyone ignorant so no one can even question the fact that they're going to a new planet.
Yeah.
But then, they still have technology and stuff.
Yeah.
Or maybe they don't.
Yeah.
Because maybe they don't know how to fix
they're
these
walking
things.
around with swords, so I don't know. I don't know if they have technology. Yeah.
So then they're just going to re-uplift their own civilization after they get to the new planet or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, I wonder about just as an aside
I just realized that picture is like a political cartoon because not only does it have pictures, but it has Ferbrini language at the bottom. It's like Ferbrini Obama. Taxes.
Thanks, Ferbrini.
Yeah.
I was just saying, like her outfit is tame compared to some of the outfits we've seen in the past, which is pleasing to me. I'm glad that they didn't go crazy overboard. Like
they just went crazy with their eyeliner. Is that what they call winged eyeliner?
Yeah. It's like look at, I have all these eyelashes where they're not really eyelashes.
Yeah, that's practically like an 8-winged angel of winged eyeliner. That's
maybe it's supposed
intense.
to be like the eyes are also like the sun and their little like diagram of religion thing. Maybe that's it.
Could be.
But yeah, so here it is. We have McCoy working his asset to kind of get what he wants. He's getting Kirk and Spock out of the way so they can operate more freely.
He's just trying to save them. He's just trying to take that tortuous path of saving his friends and getting the mission done.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if maybe he didn't have the sickness. Maybe this was kind of like a temporary, like he injected himself with something to give him temporary xylinophobia or whatever it's called. And just so, he could work his asset.
No, I mean, it obviously was on set before. I mean, things like this happen. Spies get cancer, space cancer.
Well, yeah, but he could have known this whole thing. I mean, like, he could have... Like, if you have a generation ship, I mean, you can... And you have the instruments, you can spot that a mile away for years. So this could have been like a mission in progress that it only just was coming up to the deadline too close, so someone had to take it.
I guess. I think that's a bit much, but... We're just making this stuff up anyway.
Yeah. So it really doesn't matter. It's as good as thing as any.
This story was originally about Scotty.
Interesting.
And I guess he just goes rogue and beams down himself, and then Spock and McCoy beam down to find him. And in the brief of that draft of the script, they're like, Scotty's angrier than we've ever seen him. And I'm like,
I'm like, no, you can't convince me Scotty's angrier than we've ever seen him unless he's defending some piece of engineering.
Yeah, he would literally punch through rock if he was angrier than we've ever seen him.
Yeah, you want to touch my engines?
Yeah, right. I'm just saying, like, he would just grab the swords by the pointy end, just break them in half,
right,
and just stab a dude with them.
Yeah,
like, just 2 dudes at once with the 2 fragments of the sword, bare hands.
So this is interesting. How like we got like in one conversation we got the. I'm ordering you to do thing. No, you can't make me. Okay, fine. Like it's like you either have conviction, Kirk, or you don't. You can't just change your mind midstream like this.
Yeah. So this is a big moment, but like again, you got to play these things just right.
Yeah. He's got plans. He got things he's gonna do.
Well, I mean, in terms of the story, because like nowadays you can do this, like you said, in a 2 or 3 episode thing. So you're like, oh look. We know McCoy's going to stay with the Enterprise.
Right.
But he is going to be gone for a while, and some of that's going to change. Speaking of things that don't change, he's still wearing his Starfleet uniform?
Yeah, like why hasn't he adopted a kimono? Like, what's the deal?
Yeah.
Maybe he thinks blue brings out his eyes? Because it kind of does.
Get with your plaid kimono. Get with the Highlands of the Sunrise Land.
He's like, oh, so what's the deal with this whole obedience thing? Like, is this? He's like, oh yeah, it's a simple outpatient procedure. Like, all I have to do is just place my hands on the side of your head, and then it's good.
I love that they're like, hey, look, here's your obedience ship. Now here are the rules. And
they did.
Our cultures have so much in common.
I love the fact that he's seen this. I feel. Lends credit to my theory that he's a spy in this episode because he accepts a chip that has direct line to boiling his brain essentially without even knowing the laws of that's going to engender such a punishment. Yeah.
The alternative is that people in the Federation are just hella entitled to break whatever rules they want to solve their mystery.
It's like, sure, yeah, whatever. I'm sure the laws aren't that bad. I can break a few. It's probably not a big deal.
I know that 2 planets are in the balance here.
Yeah.
But they're still just like, whatever, sacred place, whatever, secret book.
He's like, I mean, they even tried, like, Spock did bring up the Prime Directive. He's like, nah, we're good. Okay. So it's like the Prime Directive is silly. Like it just never.
the Prime Directive is interesting, but again, like, they have to do things to make the plot happen, so then they kind of have to, like, skirt it. Or be like, oh no, subsection... What are we on right now? Subsection J says that if the people on the planet are being total dicks, we can just ignore it. So that's...
If they're just super not cooperative, then you can violate the Prime Directive.
Yeah. You're going to get in trouble for this, Jim. End of the episode. That was bad, Jim. Don't do it again.
Yeah. Next episode. Hey, let's have some Commando. Crazy wacky antics where we violate the Prime Directive.
So, I mean, I think we are exaggerating a little bit.
But I mean, it's just because it's inconsistent, then it's hard to know like how enforced it is. It's kind of like a speed limit. Like, yes, breaking the speed limit is against the law, but since you can't catch every person doing it, then who cares?
I was traveling near light speed, so my actual velocity is harder to measure. Like, it's without knowing the real limits of it, or without really seeing it play out well, it's hard to know what the Prime Directive actually is,
right?
And with that respect, really analyze it.
Yeah.
So, but like for example, in the Next Generation, the Prime Directive regards people who are capable of warp travel, people who are aware of other planets. The Yanada are not capable of warp travel, apparently.
Yeah.
Nor are they aware of other planets, and yet they have to be contacted because they're going to hit another planet. They're going to become briefly aware of another planet.
Yeah, ever so briefly.
is the problem. And they want to prevent that, I think, which is obviously in line with the Prime Directive, I think.
Yeah, this is where, like, and see, this is another thing, too, is that I've been paying a lot more attention now to pacing since we've done this, and the whole Starfleet saying, listen, Sunless is going to take care of it, don't worry about it. You need a little bit more time for the gravity of that decision to land before you have McCoy contacted in order for that whole situation to land, to have, like, its poignancy. Because, right, like, they were just told, like, hey, don't worry about it, and then McCoy's, like, pulling them back in, basically. So it feels like they never left. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it does. And McCoy's wearing the same uniform. It feels like it feels like it's been an afternoon.
Right.
They stayed there, they got married, and Kirk and Spock
And once
back.
again, like, if this was a few character arc, then you could have... like the themes and the intent of a lot of these things would have landed more because you would have given them the concepts time to breathe.
Yeah, it would have felt like there's some sort of weight here rather than everything moving at a breakneck pace.
So I do like how, and see, McCoy would have known how easy it is to remove the brain chip because I assume that's a medical device that he was briefed by Chapel on.
Yeah. McCoy, Spock again, a better doctor than McCoy.
Yeah, he's like, yep, in and out.
So, yep.
That was easy. So. McCoy was like, I'm a doctor, Jim. I can't perform brain surgery. He's like, no, just remove the chip. What's your problem?
I'd like to think this is also the first divorce that Spock has conducted.
He's officiating a divorce.
I mean, basically.
By the power vested in me by the Space Bar Association.
I hereby pronounce this marriage annulled. Or space annulled, whatever.
Yeah, so she gets super mad, and then like we get some Mad Men type womanizing here. Like he has her by the neck and the arm.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Oh no, he has her by the head. Shit.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, that's an effective way to control a person.
Yeah,
like sure.
It's. Like, listen, dude. Like, if you're gonna like go to physical aggression, then why even explain to her? Like, just take her prisoner and go there. Like, it's so bad.
he eventually lets her go. Yeah, it's
at her will. Like, he has the privilege of just like subduing her just whenever he wants.
Yeah, no, and she's definitely there under the threat of the very same violence, even if he's let her go. So.
Right. But it's like, no, you have to listen to my speech, and then you can run away.
Yeah, it's totally true. Just, you're everything you know is wrong.
It's like, listen, I mean, and this is the funny thing is that he opens up with like, listen, if you just listen to what I have to say, and you don't agree with me, then you can do what you want. We'll take whatever your punishment. But you have to trust me. Everything I say is true.
But to his defense, he is explaining everything in American Tourist. He is using loud, slow words so that she understands him. Well, even though her primary language is also English. But yeah.
Well, she's an inferior being, so that's why speaking loud helps.
Oh, she's an alien, too.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey-o! Calling out the sexism in Star Trek that kind of underlies it. So, yeah. So we're just trying to move the plot forward here.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just trying to keep it up. I mean, we can laugh at Spock's brain all the time, but it is hard to keep up tempo on a better than average episode like this.
Yeah. Like it's the other thing too, like the whole sound effect for the Oracle exerting its kind of will on an entity, like the blink dong. Like it just seems so Willy Wonka. It's so it takes you out of whatever's going on, and so you just hear blink dong, and you're like, what? Like, what?
Yeah.
And I mean, like, you don't really even need a sound effect, I feel. I mean, I guess it's okay, but I think if you're going to use a sound effect, you need a better one. Something that fits with kind of the score, like the music that's going to be playing, at the times.
That's the weird thing that I mentioned the director. This guy never gets to direct for Star Trek again.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, because he went like way over. But the deal is like they're just the constraints are ridiculous.
Yeah.
So like you can't meet our ridiculous constraints, you're out. Get a new guy in here who's never worked with Star Trek before and has no way of meeting our constraints.
Right.
He's also terrible. Get out.
Right. Yeah, no, for sure. It's the strategy you'll see a lot of even contemporary business, and it's just so entitled and frustrating every time you come across it. You're just you can't understand how companies make money when they just act like petulant children.
They just burn through stuff.
Yeah,
they burn through. I mean, this has a lot of people who came onto the show worked really hard the first season or two. I'll bring it up later, but Gene Roddenberry has really stepped back. He's almost not involved at this point.
Oh wow!
In Star Trek, like he's getting scripts sent to him and doing like some feedback and stuff, but he's working on other projects. He's an executive producer for I want to say Paramount.
Oh wow!
But
that's surprising. I mean, he's so he's like the lead man of this entire rock show, right? Like, so you would expect him to kind of be there every step of the way. It's surprising that the first iteration, at a certain point, he kind of disengages.
Yeah, disengage is a good way to put it, because the characterizations that he is just burnt out from fighting for everything.
Yeah, it's that's unfortunate.
Yeah, and so at this point, you have a lot of people who just can't take it anymore. The people who do come in, they're people who are like, I don't know, Star Trek, LOL.
Yeah.
They're just trying to make a TV series, and they're trying to make it on a budget that, they can't. They're trying to make it on time constraints that they can't. Guest constraints. William Shatner constraints.
Yeah. And it's interesting. Like there are times in which when I hear this kind of stuff, you have so much empathy for the situation. You hope to just somehow inject yourself in a contemporary like situation that has the same elements, so you can be a good actor for the people that are trying their hardest to get something done. But no matter how much effort you put into, there's always going to be those dicks that are like, hey, no, I need 2 Ferraris, so you have to get this in 6 days or else.
Yeah, and or
else I'm going to get in trouble.
And again, all this stuff factors in here, but it is interesting that Spock isn't like, yeah, you guys should just get out of here.
I love that how he asks, is it indexed? It's like, damn it, Spock, is there a table of contents?
It's important. It's it's how it's a book, man.
Yeah, no, it's a big book. I just like how he asks, is it indexed?
Yeah.
And it's a question that you don't hear in contemporary dialogue.
Yeah. Well, apparently we learned out of the blue in the movies that Kirk has a fondness for antiques.
Oh, interesting.
Including books.
I mean, he does mention like the weapons, and I mean, he does seem to also be a history buff because he just always, whatever situation he's in, he's Johnny on the spot with 19th century history to explain it.
19th and 20th.
Yeah, that's true.
So we did Spectre of the Gun, and we did.
Oh yeah.
3 20th century planets.
I always forget about the mobster planet.
Yeah, mobster planet.
My mind's trying to preserve. Like, no, you don't want to remember this.
So anyway, it's I guess this is actually the second generation ship that we've seen, because not Is There No Truth in Beauty? That's next week. The one with the Kelvins, where they just look like humans, and Scotty has to drink a guy under the table.
Ah, yeah. Oh, yeah. I like that.
Was also a generation ship.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's true. Different perspective.
By any other name is what it is. So.
I do like how they're just kind of like, no, this is like they said it's not too much different from the Enterprise, and here you get a little more subtext here that Kirk knows enough about his ship to like be in the engine room. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like he's not just some bureaucrat. Like he can work the controls and recognize the similarities and differences to the Enterprise.
Yeah, and it's good whenever he can work a console and he doesn't have to push a lower ranking person out of the way to do it.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit more. It's less micromanaging, more kind of collaborative.
Yeah, but they do never explain to us why the computer is so dead set against fixing their course. Yeah, or working with other people.
Right.
I don't know.
So this is where McCoy succeeds his mission. He's flipped his asset, and now his asset has a vested interest in guiding her people to kind of a peaceful cohabitation with I can't remember, the planet is Devon or Duran or something.
I don't know. I do not recall, actually.
But with the planet. So he's accomplished his mission, and it's if you think about this like subtext fiction that I've crafted for myself, it's pretty cool, but it's probably not like legitimate, but I love it still.
I'm not sure, like, this is really just a meandering conversation.
Yeah.
Which, like, they each have their own tasks to take care of now.
Yeah. I mean, this is just like, hey, listen, we're married, now we're not, so okay.
Yeah, I mean, when your ship was doomed, I was totally into you.
Yeah, now that I've gotten what I wanted, I'm less into you.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's super weird.
Yeah. But hey, at least she doesn't die.
Yes.
So that's a big bonus.
Like she's... you can talk about the trope of like throwing women in refrigerators to get them out of like the narrative that you want to. Yeah. But I'm okay with, hey, I'm a strong, independent woman who don't need no man, and I got responsibilities.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a better way to do it than just, oh, you've got space cancer too. It's contagious. You're dead.
Yeah, I do want to mention that the condition McCoy has is a real condition.
Oh, okay, interesting. I didn't know that.
Condition. Yeah, no. It just happens to be named
like
Xeno,
which means space.
Yeah, which means space,
which means science fiction.
Yeah. So, and your Spock is like, oh shoot, they keep their library by the front door, by the front door. It's convenient.
Is this right? Well, no, those are just big memory cards that like feed the Oracle.
Yeah.
Just like you just switch out the tape decks.
So anyway, it's interesting though. I like that the Fabrini aren't like strictly better than the Federation in the technology.
Yeah, they're just different. Yeah, they're just different. Like they've specialized in one way versus another. I think I'm going to include this on my central Star Trek list just because it's such a good McCoy is a covert operative episode.
It does seem to work. We can of course see who's doing the surgery. It's Nurse Chapel.
Yeah, of course. You know, she knows what's up.
Should probably be a Dr. Chapel.
Yeah, no. Yeah, especially when you consider like a doctor, like a nurse is doing pretty much like 80% of like the medical stuff anyway. A doctor's only there for like the 20% of situations where you have to like diagnose like like just kind of the edge cases, but a nurse can do everything else because that's why you have like the division of labor basically. And so if you're an exceptional nurse, then you're basically a doctor. And so I have no problems believing that Chapel is such an exceptional nurse that she can basically do McCoy's job and then some.
Yep, and there they are. They kind of wrap it up by saying, "Hey, but you can go back and visit her sometime."
Yeah. That's
nice.
360 days is a long time to wait for a booty call, but that's exactly what Kirk was talking about.
Oh yeah, clearly. So anyway,
yeah,
it's a pretty good episode.
Yeah.
So I mean, not great, but yeah.
Yeah. It's a meta episode unless McCoy is a spy, then it's a good episode.
Yeah, it really builds on that character. Next week is gonna be Is There No Truth in Beauty? Another episode with a long title.
Oh yeah! So I keep seeing this. This is like Netflix has listed this as the 5th episode. It's like the 5th in like the season 3. And so anytime I'm because since we're doing a Stardate order, I have to kind of like blow past this episode, and it's just like Spock in like a Devo visor.
Yeah, no, it's a thing.
So I mean, like the picture doesn't give you anything other than maybe like Spock just came out of like a laser tag match or something. Like I don't know.
Well, there's you can probably Google the phrase Spock helmet.
Okay, and that'll
and get
come up.
No, you get something better than this.
Oh wow! Okay,
wow, indeed.
Okay, so what the little blurb says is the Enterprise transports the Medusan ambassador Kolos, his telepathic interpreter Dr. Miranda Jones, and engineer Lawrence Maverick. So essentially, we have 3 people from like a different culture being taken.
Space.
Yeah, being taken from A to B. A Medusan seems to suggest that like, there's going to be some like Roman undertones, which generally don't work well. But I would say that I'm kind of like 60% interested in seeing this episode. Like I like seeing the different cultures interact with the Enterprise, and I like seeing like some of the conflict between like how the Enterprise culture and whatever culture that's on board kind of graphs. Like I'm hoping when I see engineer, so you have like a telepathic interpreter, you have an ambassador, and you have an engineer. Ambassador is like Kirk's one. Like interpreter could be either Spock or is probably Spock, and then engineer is like Scotty. And I would love it if like Scotty and this engineer go toe to toe. That'll be great.
Love it, you say. Anyway, I will tell you straight up that we have 2 classical era themed episodes left. So this is not going to be one of them. But we are almost out of the woods for Romanesque, Greek-esque.
Yay! That'll be nice.
Classical era Egypt-esque episodes.
I'll be glad when that happens.
All right. Until then, remember Anne. Hey, I'll make this less than 60 seconds because no one likes credits. Star Trek is owned by CBS Television Studios and Paramount Pictures. We're watching this on Netflix streaming, talking over Skype, and recording our conversation with Alamoto Call Recorder. All editing is done with Audacity, the free audio editor and recorder, and our files are hosted on vanvelding.com. With DreamPress hosting, run with WordPress. 17 to 1 is available on iTunes and Stitcher. If you have any questions about the program, feel free to email 17to1@vanvelding.com or tweet @vanvelding. Thank you, and remember Anne.